if it wasn't for SUNY Dutchess's vet lounge, like I probably would have been much more of a recluse during my time in. I didn't make any friends until the end of the first semester, really. A habitat for a veteran, you know, when you're active duty, no matter what branch you're in or what job you're in, but obviously more in like combat arms where you're just like training together and just, excuse my language, but in the shit all the time together, like you develop, I want to say, a very dark sense of humor with said Marines or sailors or soldiers, and it's just not something you can like joke about when you come out. So having that habitat of other veterans that come from a very similar background helps, because, you know, they say that people hide pain through comedy, and the kind of comedy that we bring to the table usually gets you some weird looks, which happens with my family and friends back home all the time. I'll just like casually make a joke I would normally make with like veteran friends, and my family will look at me and be like, dude, that's messed up. And I'm just like, I'm so sorry, I didn't even, you know. So it's one of those things. So it's keeping in touch with veterans with similar sense of humor and background is very important for like stuff like that. Until recently, I wasn't asking for support at all, and that's kind of pushed me over the edge more recently, and actually I had a 2-year relationship end because of it, you know. And so I actually ended up reconnecting with my friends from my unit not too long ago, and that helped me a lot, you know. It's really brought me out of, I started slacking off in school and stopped doing my homework and got really behind, and then I started talking to them again, and then I motivated myself to get back into it, and I ended up finishing the semester with all A's except for one class I got incomplete on, that they let me have an extension to finish the work over the summer. So because they understood, you know, I talked to them, and that's what I like, at least with SUNY Dutchess, you know, this teachers or professors are really understanding with that kind of stuff. So they all gave me extensions to finish my work by the end of the semester, and there's only one class I couldn't finish everything, so they let me turn it in over the summer.
Yeah, so I'm actually not friends with many people, which sounds kind of sad, but I live pretty locally, so I'll go to class and I just go home. And I'm now realizing that I should probably reach out more and find like a little tight-knit group, whether it's military or civilian, just that way I have people on campus. I do have friends here, but you know, we're all busy with class, living our lives, working. It's really hard to balance it all. I reach out to my mom. She's like my best friend, and she's also a veteran, so she understands.
Like, say you walked into the veterans office, we'll use that as like an example because it's here, and like Jason and I and a couple of the other guys will just be BSing and, you know, talk about, well, you know, there's this one time where I was in basic training, and, you know, there was this guy who, you know, was sleepwalking and he urinated in a trash can or something, and be like, oh, that's, you know, effing stupid. What do you, you know, I could top that. And it's just something like that. You just have them sit around and, you know, shoot the shit, and that's it. I mean, it's not some kind of environment you create. It just happens naturally. Yeah, I mean, like, there's a lot where, you know, if someone talks about their deployment and some of the stuff they may have seen, that may not be, someone may not want to hear that, you know? They don't want to see, like hear stories about people getting blown up or whatever. So you need to be a little thick-skinned, because they'll probably pick on you too. There's a lot of inter-branch rivalry, and for example, like the Marines, they get made fun of they get called like window lickers, and they eat crayons and stuff. So, and that's a little more tame, but you know, and they shoot right back at you. So you got to be, as a therapist, if you want to be kind of accepted, you need to be able to take some of the jabs and whatnot. Jarheads are accused of being really dumb, like having low IQs, and they lick windows because they think they could taste the window or whatever, and they eat crayons too. So like being a veterans, like I said, it's kind of a club. There's like an unspoken bond between veterans, even if, like I said, even if they weren't in the same unit or anything.
Just because they were there, they might understand like the specifics of the situation, but not that, you know, I don't feel like nobody else understands because they weren't there. But in specifics, they were there, so they know what I'm talking to, as opposed to somebody on the outside that wasn't there, if that makes sense.
Well, no, it's not so much different because of the rank, but like my time and availability is limited, and I also go to school on the weekends predominantly, or at nights, so I'm not like a normal undergraduate that's here every day, you know, that's during normal working hours. So it's difficult to meet those times, you know, when we have things that are planned and I could see in my schedule that it's not during the school day, or my kids aren't doing anything that I could be like, yeah, I could do this, and maybe, you know, I haven't had an opportunity to bring my family to anything yet, but you know, there is safety within, you know, a group that can understand who you are and what's going on. And I'm not saying that the military is different type of people. We just have gone through something that other people haven't gone through. And that creates a camaraderie amongst those people that helps in that communication process. So like when you're driving on the road and you see, you know, someone says, I served in Afghanistan or I served in Iraq, you know, they park their car, you park next to them, you're like, hey, who did you serve with? And like that type of stuff. And you know, you want to engage in those conversations because you could relate to so many things, you know, whether it could be, you know, stupid stories about, you know, experience that you've had with soldiers, or, you know, stupid things the soldiers did in the barracks. You know, you could have those funny conversations that maybe normal civilians wouldn't understand. You know, you have the war stories, you have everything that, you know, you're so used to listening. You could talk about, you know, the power of a mortar round exploding, and like, it's funny, I went to a baptism recently and I met a guy who was an SF soldier, and he had experience with mortars, and I was a mortar platoon leader. I don't think we talked about anything else besides blowing things up for about an hour. So it was, when you have those environments, you know, it's comfortable. You know, I don't want to talk, like I'm not used to talking to people about like, hey, how's your kid doing? How's kids' baseball practice going? I'm like, my wife took care of the family, and I took care of serving the country.